Hey guys, Walt Wagner here with Tactical Application Vehicles. Today we're going to do a walk around again on this truck, and this is the third time we've actually kind of worked on this truck with its camper configuration here. We do have another video on this truck that we did a full walk around on, addressing suspension, body armor and everything, but it had a 5010 camper on it. Since then, this client, it went home, he used it for a few years, and wanted to make this a lighter truck and a little bit more aggressive for wheeling and stuff in Vermont. So he knew we were working with dirt box overland, so what we did was a couple pretty neat things on the back end of the truck here. So what I'm going to do on this one is we'll go top down like we typically do on our newer walkarounds here, addressing the weight that the truck's got to carry and why we decided to do suspension stuff. But since this truck is kind of unique and we've already done the suspension based off of another truck or another camper setup, I'll tell you what we did to kind of what we typically do when the truck is going to change weight. So kind of starting back here on the back of the truck, we are, like I said, we're working with dirt box overland on this stuff. So it's got dirt box's flatbed tray, which comes with, it's kind of like a headache rack built into it. But these beds also come with a water tank that's up underneath the bed, kind of forward under the bed. And obviously this is a 4-door short bed Tacoma, so there's no boxes or anything right here. Everything kind of just ends in this front portion. But right behind the frame rails, there's a nice sized water tank there. So, and I believe it's was a 24-gallon fuel tank or water tank, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I can find out the exact water tank size on this because they do have different sizes beds and there's different size water tanks. So we will put that information in later. But this is a very modular system, and we can kind of set this up kind of however somebody wants to. This is their short canopy on this. What's cool about this is it goes all the way to the other side, and it comes with like a power panel, which I'll show you, and it comes carpeted, and you've got lights and things like that. So in this one, we've kind of just got gear set in here. This client, we're camping right now, so we're moving some equipment around and stuff. But we've got this thing wired to where you've got your water tank level up in the top, your fuses, simple fuses, USB, a main power cutoff switch for back here. So you've got interior lights that it's bright out today, but there's a light right up in the door here. And you can set lights up inside this out however you want to. So you've got that, you've got, so this actually isn't a light bar, it's for other lights outside. But you've also got some blank switches in here as well. So as you can see, like USB, 12-volt plug, the refrigerator is plugged in right next to it. And you could, if this thing is actually big enough, you could sleep inside it. So it's kind of cool. And they have a larger box like this too. So you could actually make a pretty cool little setup in here. They kind of set it up to where because they have a drop-down fridge slide, which is with a camp kitchen and a lot of cool things, accessories like that. So for this particular client, just wanted it empty, so he can kind of figure out what he wants to do with it later and just kind of set it up however. But you know, and these gas struts on this thing are extremely strong. So you could actually, it would support it if you wanted to put some gear on the outside. You could mount things to the outside and it would still lift it. You got to watch it though. That sucker will hit you in the face if you're not careful. But right above that is Dirtbox's 270-degree awning. These things are pretty awesome. It's about 34 pounds for this thing, the Dirtbox awning. It comes out 270 degrees. They come standard with lights, LED strip lights down every leg, and it is a freestanding awning. It does come with the legs on it, so you could put a wall kit on it, and those legs create a corner for the wall to wrap around. So if you were going to be somewhere for a little bit and you wanted to have a nice outside space, if you're in the wind like today and you wanted to cook or something in there, you could. And that kind of another unique feature to this is, since he's got the short box on this, he's using the rooftop tent on the top, the Tellurika rooftop tent from Dirtbox. That's 110 pounds. It's one of the lightest aluminum shelled tents that I know of, you know, that's structural like this. But this portion of the rack matches the headache rack up front, so you can move this kind of anywhere you want, but this is supporting the back side of the tent. And this tent actually has the insulation kit in it as well, so you can leave that in there all year round and it insulates the tent really nice. And you can see how thin it is as well. So it's very modular. The whole approach that the guys at Dirtbox wanted to do is to, as they put it, they wanted to Legofy the ability to kind of make whatever you wanted back here. We keep the spare tire mounted to the back of this small box, the canopy box, so it's forward of just behind the axle. So any weight you really got is now above or forward of the axle, which is balanced really nice. So it's a little bit different than the previous camper that was on here, where most of that weight was above the axle and behind it. Now we've transitioned that to forward of the axle. And the bed sides are pretty cool too. This is all aluminum, so it's super lightweight. You just have a cam latch here, and they have a positive latch here, so you can just pop that loose and drop these all the way down or remove them all together. They're super lightweight. You could even put a cable on here, something that stops, so you could have a table. There's all kinds of different things you can do with this. And as you can see, he's just got gear kind of set up in here, a little fire pit, you know, table, alu box right here. So I mean, it's just a really nice use of space. We've got firewood on the other side, and then so with that laying down, you have another one on this side that does the same thing. This entire thing drops down and out of the way. And just like before, I mean, you could set it up as a table or something like that if you wanted to, but it's designed to where if something did get bashed or smashed, you can just pull this right off, slide this off the hinge, and then replace it. A lot of this, as many of you know, there's a lot of Australian influence in the US now, South African, Australian influence on flatbeds, tray beds, and different configurations of that. Jay Couch over at Couch Off-Road has a very extensive history with Unimogs, and currently still does. And he is dirt box as well. So he's bringing a lot of that technology into the US truck market. So we can kind of scale down what a Unimog might look like on their tray beds and put a lot of that into, you know, small Tacoma like this, or pretty much anything. We're working on a project with them for a Ram right now. So the modularity of this is great. Everybody likes to kind of be creative and do their own thing, and this leaves a lot of room for somebody to do that with. So kind of another thing too is all of their extrusions are set up to where you can hide your wiring all through the extrusions and stuff. So if you wanted to mount lights, they have little cutaways, so you can put nut certs or like a nut or a bolt in here, and you can kind of mount stuff anywhere you want. You can have lights facing inward or outboard, or any configuration you want on this stuff. So it's very well thought out, and they're trying to kind of address whatever somebody would want to do, even down to the bed. There's an extrusion all along the bed, so you can pull this corner cap off and slide a nut or a bolt into that, and you can mount things to the outside of the bed if you wanted to. There are corner boxes on this truck. You have corner boxes back here. Obviously there's no room up front, but these have a nice positive, you watch, it's a really positive pressure latch. So you push in and it pulls the cabinet shut onto that gasket. So it's, and then it's just a, oh, he's got this one locked, but when it opens up, you've got a lot of room in here for heavier weight. Like you've got recovery gear or tools or anything like that. You can keep that in here, and it's down low. The fenders come with marker lights on them. You know, it's kind of a good touch at night, you know, on the back corner and then on the fender itself. And one thing we've been working with Tal on the box design is he notches these corner boxes 4-hour builds. So every one of our Tacomas, whether you're getting a stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 suspension, there is the Archive Garage rear shackle mount and the Total Chaos shock tower that fits in a different location on the frame than a stock truck. So he made these boxes to where they're notched out 4-hour builds. So these boxes will be the same on every one of our Tacoma builds. So, and another some of the cool little touches that they've done with this is they understand that if somebody's going to wheel this thing hard, that you're probably going to drag the back end off of something, or you could run into a tree or something like that. But like the tail light, everything, this is basically an aftermarket G-Wagon tail light. It's got all your turn signal, your backup light, everything, running lights, brake lights, everything all in one piece. So if something were to happen to this rear corner, that one piece can be replaced. You know, you can just take this off and put a new one on, and it's back to new again. So it's cool that they thought about a lot of different things that make, you know, all sensors work like it should on a factory vehicle. A lot of these newer vehicles have cross traffic sensors and things like that. So they put a lot of extra effort into making sure all those things work, and having a DOT legal style tail light. So thought that was kind of a neat touch that they did there. Kind of just moving around a little bit. This client's got an aftermarket Alpine head unit, the Halo 9 in the truck. So we put the rear camera right underneath the drawer here, so you can kind of see, even if there was a receiver hitch on here, you can see everything out back behind you and on the ground, which is kind of nice because you can't see out of your rear mirror, but this gives you a better view out here on the ground anyway. And also with these flatbeds, comes standard with this rear drawer that comes out. It's carpeted rear drawer, comes almost like 98% out and then all the way out here. But another cool touch that I like that they do is they set it up to where you can kind of do your own thing. Most people will with the drawer system, but they have a little block off plate here to keep things from getting up against your latches. So if you've got recovery tools and things like that that want to slide around, you're not going to have anything coming up against your latches. There is also kind of a neat little thing. When we do place an order for these, they provide a QR code that we stick in the same spot on all these flatbeds, and when you scan that QR code, it's a list of everything that you've gotten of Dirtbox. It also gives us the ability to warranty something so they can see per serial number what you have and what batch something might have come out of. If there's an issue with something, or if they need to track anything, they can by having that. You can provide that to them, or you can have that yourself and just scan it. It's kind of a neat little thing. So in the corner boxes back here, it's a really nice positive seal, like we were mentioning before. So you can kind of see how it pops out like that, but then you can just turn it, quarter turn, and then drop it open. And there's a nice bit of space back here. So if you got tire chains or tools or anything you want to put back there, you can. And then kind of moving forwards, as a lot of you probably already know, with like our fenders in the front, inner fender liners that we make by hand, to close things up and make it a nice functional finishing touch. With a short bed truck like this, you don't have room in the front obviously for a box, like a storage box like you would get on a longer bed truck. So what we built is a skirt that kind of goes all the way across the front of the bed, and it kind of conceals the water tank and any kind of wiring that might be in there. So that kind of covers all of that up. But then we made like a 2 or 3 piece inner fender liner here that connects from the outside and the inside, and they come together and they're captured together. So it gives it some rigidity. But so if you need to come in here and pressure wash all this off, you don't have debris hitting the back of your cab. This is kind of is shaped to the same shape of the cab, but we shape it down, bring it down to the bottom here, so it protects the cab from rocks or anything else like that, and it makes it real easy to clean all of this stuff out if you need to. And on the passenger side for these beds, this is where your water fill would be for the water tank that comes in this. You just lift that up and unthread it, fill it up with the garden hose or whatever, and it goes right into the tank, and the switch on the other side is your pump. So kind of as I touched on before, as modular as this whole system is, it's really pretty cool because these 2 brackets right here are the same that would go on like a canopy camper or something of theirs. So you can just undo these bolts if you wanted to change up your configuration. Undo these bolts, you can slide this whole box, you can unplug your power from the Anderson plug that we put in, take this whole box and put it back here if you wanted to. So you can have that canopy back here and have this whole front side open, or you can change the width of the box. You can just take this box off and make a bigger box, or they're working on smaller toolboxes that would actually bolt into the same locations. So it's a very modular system for whatever kind of storage needs you've got. They are also working on a canopy camper that is compatible with the flatbed itself. We're working on that design with them right now. So there's going to be a lot of really exciting things coming up, but it all bolts on and mounts kind of the same way. And with the way the electrical is run, we do it in a way to where it can just be unplugged, and then you can move this stuff around as you see fit or as your needs change. So continuing with our top-down theme here, basically on the front of on the roof of the truck, we're running a Print2 Designs rack. And as you can see, it's fairly empty. Like it's the max tracks, it's a really good location for the max tracks to be mounted on the front of the roof rack. We've got some S2 Pros mounted for camp and area lighting, and the rest of the rack is basically just open, flat. Because this tent is actually mounted backwards from what people are used to. As a wedge, it opens up to where your entryway is actually in the front. So you can use this whole roof rack as basically a porch, a front porch. So to kind of look at this truck in more depth, I'm going to go through it very quickly from front to back and suspension, but we have a whole video that talks about everything we did with our Stage 2 Plus system on this truck. So kind of moving more towards the front here, on body armor, We're running the CBI aluminum front bumper, and we've got very specific lighting configured on here. He's also got the same kind of camera in the front that he has in the back for his head unit, so he can monitor both of those. But kind of moving down, we got the LP9s in white driving combo, LP6s in amber driving combo. Those are both switched separately from each other. We've got the S8 in the bumper, and that's got a nice backlight to it as well. These all have an amber backlight, which makes it easy to see in dust. Factor 55 Haas Fairlead, Factor 55 Ultra Hook, and the come up winch as well. With that, when I mentioned Stage 2 Plus, our Stage 2 is 2 inches wider per side with the upper and lower Total Chaos control arms. But our Stage 3 is typically 3.5 inches wider per side if somebody wanted to run a 37-inch tire. This one is running 488 gear ratio with ARB air locker on front and rear, and 35-inch Toyo MT, 35, 12, 50, 17 Toyo MT on a Method Race Wheels 704. This is just another model that they have with the bead grip technology in it. This truck is actually running Kings, so this is our custom valved, custom sprung set of Kings that we build for, we have our very specific valving and stuff that we put into these Kings when we order them as a baseline, and if we need to change it, we can. When we changed the camper configuration on this truck, it had a heavy 5010 camper on the back with all cabinetry, all goose gear cabinetry and everything. So that weighed drastically different than this. So we've actually gone in and revalved the rear shocks on the bench. We can do that. And we can respring these leaf springs because we work with Alcan on leaf springs. And we have a cut card on the leaf springs to where we know what every individual leaf spring rate is. And if we need to change the spring rate in the back of the truck, we can get a single individual leaf to replace one or the other in that spring pack to make it appropriate for what the truck's got to carry. So we've been able to dial in the rear suspension of this truck when we changed weight on the camper configurations. So for moving back on the body armor, this is a set of the CBI sliders. A lot of times you'll see sliders with a taper to them. These are a flat slider. So as you can see, it's a huge step to stand on. So if you need to reach something on the roof rack, you can. It's a nice big flat step, even with the doors closed. So, and it's got a little bit of a kick out back here. So if you needed to pivot around a tree or something like that, that kick out actually pushes the back of the truck away from whatever you're on. And you can see it kind of lines your rear tire up to be able to get up and over things. So typically what we do when we do a flatbed conversion on these beds, we make our own rear bumper. We put it in the factory bolt hole locations on the frame of the truck, but we reinforce the rear of it so much that it actually strengthens the rear section of the truck. It still incorporates usually a factory receiver hitch of some sort. We incorporate recovery points, and we wrap the end of the frame rail so it boxes everything in. That also allows us to hide our wiring away. So as you can see, we've got an S2 Pro Baja Designs light on here as a backup light, and his trailer plug, if he were to haul a trailer, is kind of tucked up and out of the way. Kind of moving forward a little bit, this is what our Stage 3 would look like. Stage 3 just addresses a weak link in the drivetrain. The Stage 1, 2, and 3 suspension is the same for us. Right? All the components are the same. But what we're doing to build in strength is, on the Tacomas, this is a Curry Ford 9-inch housing. It's a custom housing that we had made. At the time, we were able to work with Curry on these housings, and it's got Nitro Gear's billet Ford 9-inch rear diff. So this is geared to 488, and it's got an ARB locker in the rear. But when we do that, we also convert to a rear disc brake. And that is a much, much stronger scenario and a much better handling setup with these trucks having rear disc brakes in it. Especially when you're trying to hold yourself on a hill. There's a lot more power in the disc brake in the back than a drum brake from the factory. And for auxiliary fuel, or actually fuel tank replacement on this, we work very closely with LRA. And this is a 33-gallon steel fuel tank replacement in the Tacomas. It doesn't hang down any lower than the stock tank. It's actually it's a little taller and longer, so it fills in the space nicely under the truck, but it allows you to have a lot more fuel capacity than stock. So what we've been working with Eric over at Archive Garage for a long time now, and what he provides with the hammer shackle hanger and the shackles themselves and this beam that crosses over. This is an earlier version. He's slightly changed it since then, but this is so tried and true and extremely strong that when we have a heavier truck, you don't have any flex in this portion at all, and it firms up the back of the truck. So with his crossbar linking both sides of the truck together, you actually do feel that stiffness back there. But between that and the receiver hitch that we've put in place and boxed all that in, the back of the Tacoma, which is usually inherently pretty flexible, is now firmed up drastically, and you can feel that. So it's a really nice addition, and it allows us to run the long eye-to-eye Alcan springs that we run. So we get a lot of droop and suspension travel out of the back of these trucks without having to push the top of the shock up through the bed. All right, so some of the key features about this Ford 9-inch axle that we like to use, we actually use a different company for the housing, but it's the same design, a very, very similar design. So if you look, there's almost nothing at all underneath the axle housing. So when we do our stage 3 setups, we are mounting the lower portion, the lower shock mount anyway, whether it's your factory axle housing or this when we do the Total Chaos shock relocation bracketry and shock hoop. So what we do for the ride height that the truck needs to be, we're able to rotate the shock base, the bottom of the shock, up in front of the axle so it doesn't hang down below the axle, and we still get all of our suspension travel. That's one of the reasons why we don't run an extremely long shock. We don't run a 14-inch travel shock like a lot of people think we should. We run a 12-inch stroke shock because we're able to get a great deal of suspension travel out of it and rotate the base of our shock up and in front of the axle and out of harm's way. And our U-bolt flip kit as well, it puts the tops of our U-bolts up on top of the spring instead of underneath the axle. So with us keeping our spring on top of the axle, keeping the U-bolts pointing up, and keeping the bottom of the shock in front of the axle, we basically have nothing underneath the axle to drag across rocks or anything like that and to damage your shock mount. So I've been very happy with how we've kind of configured that. Something that I find is very cool about our clients' vehicles, we get stories back from our clients all the time. They're all over the world now, and this client lives in Vermont, so this is actually the third time we've worked on this truck with him. This is a 2018 Tacoma, and the first time we did it, we actually had this truck in our booth at Overland Expo, but it was a lot of the brand new Alucab components at the time. So it was the stock bed with the McNeil Racing fiberglass fenders on it that we use, but it had the Alucab canopy, drawer system, Alucab tent, all of the Alucab equipment, and we set the truck up for that weight. He was able to take it and do a lot of different trips with it. He does a lot of hard wheeling, as you can see with the rock rash on the wheels and things like that. Sliders, how you can tell that he definitely uses the sliders. But taking it up to the tight trails in Vermont, as components change over the years, he's wanted to change the use of the truck. So we went from Alucab components to a fully kitted out 5010 camper on the back, which changed the weight. So we were able to tune the suspension for that. And then he wheeled that a lot and took it on a lot of really great trips. And then we worked on a different project with him on another vehicle, so he wanted to lighten this one up, and that's when he wanted to change over to the dirt box components that we started working with, and it balances the truck different. So now I'm excited to see, we're headed to Moab next to do a little bit more testing, and he's excited to get this thing out on the trail and wheel it some more. So these trucks definitely get used, and you can see it, and they hold up great. And we have trucks all over the world now, so it's pretty cool to hear the stories and see how how our clients are using the trucks, and it helps us to continue to learn and grow and use the most current components that are out there. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching the walk around video on this. Hopefully you were able to get something from this, but one thing we're going to be doing different, and I'm going to give you some details here at the very end after our closeout, but the best way you can find us is as on our website, tavllc.com, on Instagram @tavllc, and right there you will find links to our YouTube channel, which you're on now. But you get a coupon code for Dirtbox components. All Dirtbox components, we're able to shave off 5% with a coupon code through our website. So if you go through our website and use that coupon code, it's everything Dirtbox. So if you wanted to get a flatbed, canopy camper, if you wanted to fully outfit your truck with Dirtbox components, if you add that up, 5% of that is a huge savings. So it's only through us. Dirtbox gave us permission to do that. So if you can go through our website, if you want anything through Dirtbox, you can save 5% using that coupon code. We usually do things through a consultation process anyway, because I want to know how you're going to use this truck and what we can do to best balance that platform for you. So if you can give us a call there at our shop or on our website, if you go through our contact us page, that inquiry page comes directly to me and to the guys at the front desk. So we will get that, and that's the best way to respond, for us to respond back to you, because when we get DMs through Instagram or Facebook or all these other means, sometimes that stuff can get lost. But if you go right through our website, you're sure to get us. I love seeing those things come through because I like to hear about what you guys are wanting to build. So we have this unique opportunity to be able to pass some savings onto you guys, because these things can add up. You know, I mean, we don't drive the prices on this stuff. If you want to build a really killer rig that's actually going to work for you, it comes at a cost, but we can help you save on that. So give us a call and we'll get you set up. Appreciate you watching.